Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are diving into a massive paradigm shift in neurobiology. We're talking about why CBD, arguably the most celebrated wellness molecule of our entire generation, is officially losing the ultimate battle for our brains. And more importantly, we're going to look at exactly how a totally new class of rare molecules is stepping up to take its place.
I mean, think about it. For the last 10 years, you've seen CBD literally everywhere. It's in oils, capsules, gummies. I've even seen it in pet food. People hailed it as this ultimate panacea. But here's the catch. Despite a full decade of massive hype, the neurobiology data emerging by 2026 paints a completely different picture. It turns out that broad-spectrum CBD is fundamentally failing to treat serious, complex brain conditions like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and ALS. It just isn't the magic bullet we all kind of hoped it would be for deep neurological repair.
And the crucial point really comes down to this staggering statistic. By 2026, over 70% of CBD clinical trials failed to reach their primary neuroprotective goals. 70%! Now, why is that? Well, it's not actually because the molecule itself is inherently bad. It's just that it simply cannot get to where it's needed most in a targeted way. It's sort of like using a blunt instrument when what you really need is a neurosurgeon.
So, let's explore the end of the CBD era and why this is happening.
To truly wrap our heads around this failure and the incredible breakthrough that's replacing it, we have to completely stop thinking of the brain as just another organ. We really need to start viewing it as a highly guarded fortress. And the ultimate bouncer at the door of this fortress? That's the blood-brain barrier, or the BBB. Now, this isn't just a physical wall. It's a microscopic, living border control made of endothelial cells stitched together with tight junctions. Its whole evolutionary purpose is to aggressively reject almost everything you put into your body, just to protect your delicate neural tissue from toxins. It is incredibly effective, literally so effective that it blocks over 98% of all therapeutic molecules from ever entering the brain in the first place.
You can really see the stark contrast when you compare how different molecules handle this barrier. On one hand, CBD acts like this clunky, oversized cargo truck. It drives right up to the gates of the blood-brain barrier, and the transport proteins literally just throw it right back out into your bloodstream. It has extremely low brain penetration. But then, look at the other side. We have minor cannabinoids like CBC and THCV. Because of their unique, highly fat-soluble structures, they act more like molecular special forces. They're natively designed to just slip right through those lipid defenses completely undetected.
This brings us to navigating the brain's fortress, the blood-brain barrier. So how exactly do we sneak these special forces in? I mean, since 98% of molecules get thrown out by those molecular bouncers, doctors in 2026 realized pretty quickly that they couldn't just keep giving patients higher and higher doses of CBD and crossing their fingers. They needed a map to find the specific weak points in each individual patient's fortress. And surprisingly enough, the key to building this map turned out to be something incredibly common.
Brilliantly, scientists discovered that standard blood tests, the kind that just check your immune cells, can actually identify if you have what's known as a leaky barrier profile. They do this by looking specifically at your neutrophil to lymphocyte ratio. Basically, if you have chronic systemic inflammation, your blood-brain barrier actually becomes a little more permeable. By mapping this out with a simple blood draw, doctors can perfectly time and deliver a minor cannabinoid nasal spray that bypasses your gut entirely. And get this, it achieves an incredible 7 times the brain concentration of oral CBD. I mean, that is precision medicine at its absolute finest.
Okay, moving on to these molecular special forces going up against the chaos in the brain. You see, getting it inside the fortress, that's really only half the battle. Once they're inside, these molecular ninjas have to face their true enemy, which is this chaotic disaster happening right at the cellular level. The hallmark of neurodegenerative diseases is the chaotic misfolding of proteins. Imagine cooking an egg white, right? It goes from clear and liquid to solid and opaque. That is exactly what happens to proteins like amyloid and tau inside your brain. They misfold, they clump together, and they create this toxic trash that just destroys your synaptic connections. Now, while CBD is great at calming general systemic inflammation, it completely ignores this actual cellular trash. It tries to put out the fire, sure, but it leaves the highly toxic debris sitting right where it is. And this is exactly where those special forces shine. Instead of just reducing swelling, CBC and CBN step in as the ultimate cleaning crew. They trigger a biological process called autophagy, which is basically signaling your cells to literally eat and digest their own cellular trash. Pretty wild, right? Meanwhile, THCV acts like a molecular antifreeze. It binds to proteins to stop them from clumping in the first place, all while supercharging the cell's mitochondria to restore its energy. It's essentially a complete, two-pronged cellular repair kit.
Which leads us to a concept called Entourage 2.0 and precise synergy.
This incredible division of labor brings us to a total paradigm shift in pharmacology. We're calling it Entourage 2.0. The old idea, Entourage 1.0, was to just take a full-spectrum extract and hope the hundreds of different molecules just kind of figure it out on their own. But the reality is they actually end up competing with each other. Entourage 2.0 is about pairing highly specific molecules, like CBC and THCV, together so they synergistically shut down inflammation and boost energy without fighting for the exact same cellular receptors. And crucially, because of how they natively interact with the brain, they do all of this while bypassing those barrier pumps and causing absolutely zero psychoactive high.
And the clinical data brilliantly illustrates the real-world impact of this. Just look at the results from the 2026 CLEAR AD trial for Alzheimer's disease. The baseline placebo showed toxic tau proteins naturally increasing by 7%. Then, CBD alone managed an 11% decrease. Helpful? Sure, but not exactly game-changing. But wow, look at that targeted combo. The specific pairing of CBN and THCV reduced the toxic Alzheimer's biomarker by a staggering 28%. It vastly outperformed anything CBD could do on its own, completely proving that this precise, sniper-like approach actually works in humans.
So let's talk about what this means for stopping nervous system aging altogether.
Taking all of this incredible data into account, what does this tactical strike actually mean for you and me as we get older? Well, for the first time in medical history, we are shifting the goalposts. Traditional medicine for things like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's has always been about just throwing a Band-Aid over symptoms, dealing with tremors or memory loss, while the underlying disease just continues to ravage the brain. But now we are actively looking at reprogramming the biological clock of nervous system aging. By clearing out the toxic proteins and boosting cellular energy, we aren't just masking the decline anymore, we are working to stop it right at the root.
I want you to imagine the implications of this in the very near future. Picture going in for a routine checkup in, say, 2031. You go in, and a simple blood test feeds into an AI risk predictor that analyzes your immune markers and your specific barrier permeability. Based on that data, you don't just get handed a generic pill. Instead, you receive a personalized, non-intoxicating nasal spray packed with targeted minor cannabinoids. It effortlessly crosses your blood-brain barrier and cleans up your neural networks years before any actual symptoms of dementia or tremors even have a chance to appear. It's quite literally preventative maintenance for your brain.
Ultimately, the science has matured way past the hype of a single magic molecule like CBD. The human brain is just far too complex for a one-size-fits-all solution. As the researchers put it so perfectly, we stopped believing in one magic molecule. We started collecting molecular keys for specific locks. We finally have these specific tools to access the brain's heavily guarded fortress and clean up the chaos inside. So the question I'll leave you with today is this: how will you use these new keys to unlock the longevity of your own brain? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and stay curious.